Bryant.
The science guy.
The brain. What do you know about the brain? Hopefully, not more than me. The brain is a complex organ that controls thought, memory, touch, motor skills, vision, breathing, temperature, hunger, and practically every process that regulates our body. Together, the brain and the spinal cord that extends from it make up the central nervous system, or CNS. Weighing about 3 pounds in the average adult brain is about 60% fat. The remaining 40% is a combination of water, protein, carbohydrates, and salts. The brain itself is not a muscle. It contains blood vessels and nerves, including neurons and glial cells. The three main brain chemicals that would be dopamine controls many functions such as behavior, emotion, and cognition. The dopamine communicates with the frontal lobe of the brain, which can also be found associated with reward and pleasure. So, you probably already know serotonin plays a role in sleep and depression, but this chemical also plays a role in functions including appetite, arousal, and mood. You can also find serotonin in the frontal lobe of the brain. This next one is the most common neurotransmitter throughout the brain, which is glutamate. Glutamate communicates with the spinal cord and is associated with development, cognition, learning, and memory. Cocaine is a stimulant drug made from the leaves of a cocoa plant and is one of the world's most addictive drugs. It's a fine white powder that can be snorted up through the nose, injected into the veins, or smoked. While individuals are high on cocaine, they may feel alert, energetic, and unshakable. But it isn't long before the users are left experiencing cocaine's foggy, brain shaky, and exhausted. Cocaine affects the production of neurotransmitters, the brain chemicals messengers. Neurotransmitter carry boosts and balance signals between cells in your body. Dopamine, a feel-good neurotransmitter, signals our emotional responses, especially for pleasure. The brain releases dopamine when we exercise, meditate, get a massage, have intercourse, eat good food, and listen to music. Dopamine is a chemical that makes you feel high and euphoric. But when you use cocaine, dopamine floods with your brain with so much of it that normal levels aren't enough to produce the same effects. Cocaine also throws off the brain's balance by suppressing other neurotransmitters, including serotonin. And preliminary studies suggest that antidepressants do affect neuroplasticity in adult human brains, as observed by increased neuroplasticity in the adult visual cortex of both depressed and healthy controls. Prior to providing them with the serotonin hydrochloride, these findings have important clinical implications. SSR is treat depression by increasing levels of serotonin in the brain. SSR is increase serotonin levels by preventing the body from reabsorbing serotonin neurotransmitters. Serotonin levels remain high in the brain, and this may elevate a person's mood. SSR, or antidepressants, blocks the reabsorption of serotonin into neurons. This makes more serotonin available to improve transmission of messages between neurons. SSR are called selective because they mainly affect serotonin, not the other neurotransmitters. SSR may also be used to treat conditions other than depression, such as anxiety disorders. A single dose of SSR antidepressants, such as fluoxetine, shown here, can change the brain's functional connectivity within 3 hours, a new study found. Antidepressants are medication used to treat major depressive disorder, some anxiety disorders, some chronic pain conditions, and to help manage some addictions. Common side effects of antidepressants include dry mouth, weight gain, dizziness, headaches, and emotional blunting.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I can't wait to smoke this meth. What do you think you're doing?
Who are you?
Well, I'm your fairy science godparent.
Wow. What are you doing here?
Go. To stop you from making a mistake that will ruin your entire life, did you know that meth increases the activity of dopamine and neurotransmitter systems? Methamphetamine also has a high potency. Stop. Meth also contains acetic acid, benzoyl chloride, hydrochloric acid, and methylamine. All these chemicals can lead to neurological headaches, dizziness, amnesia, decreased level of consciousness, including coma and seizures.
Oh, thank you, fairy science godmother. I'll never try meth again. Ugh. Ugh.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Ketamine is a medication primarily used for induction and maintenance of anesthesia. It induces dissociative anesthesia, a trance-like state providing pain relief, sedation, and amnesia. The ability of ketamine administration to activate prefrontal glutamate neurotransmission is thought to be a main mechanism contributing to its transient psychotomic effects, and its delayed and sustained antidepressant effects. Methods have shown ketamine and other NMDA receptor antagonists to transiently increase measures reflecting glutamate and glutamine cycling and glutamate neurotransmission in the frontal cortex. However, there are not direct measures of glutamate neurotransmission in vivo in humans to support these hypotheses. The current first-level pilot studied employed a novel prefrontal 13C MRS approach similar to that used in rodent studies for direct measurement of ketamine effects on glutamate and glutamate cycling. 21 participants, 14 healthy and 7 depressed, completed 2 13C MRS scans during infusion of normal saline or sub-anesthetic doses of ketamine. Compared to placebo, ketamine increased prefrontal glutamate or glutamate cycling as indicated by 13% and 13C glutamate enrichment. We found no evidence of ketamine effects on oxidative energy production as reflected by 13C glutamate enrichment. During ketamine infusion, the ratio of 13C glutamate or glutamine enrichments was a putative measure of neurotransmission strength, which was correlated with these findings provided by the most direct evidence in humans to date, the ketamine increases of glutamate in the prefrontal cortex, a mechanism previously linked to schizophrenia and implicated in the induction of rapid antidepressant effects. And now that we've learned how drugs affect the brain by interfering with neurons and by sending and receiving process signals via neurotransmitters, and how they activate neurons because of their chemical structure that mimics a natural neurotransmitter in the body, I want you, audience, to write down a few things or just one thing that you've learned through in this video relating to neurotransmitters and drugs and how they affect the brain. Did you finish writing something down? Now share it with your partner. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all learned something from this amazing, just perfect, let's keep it a buck, perfect video. And don't grade too hard, please.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Bryant.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Science rules.
Bryant.
Bill Nye the Science